Alright, so this is a tutorial on making a custom slideshow using Adobe Animate and writing like minimal amounts of JavaScript, if you will. So you're going to open up Animate, and then we're just going to choose HTML5 canvas because I want to make this HTML5 standard. Just click on that. And you're going to want to go, click on here on the stage, and you're going to want to change any of your settings here. So I'm going to make mine... well, I'll change this actually afterwards. So we'll change that. You want to bring your pictures in first because then you might know what size you want. Or if you already know your size, you can put it in there now. I'm going to do File, and I'm going to import my images. So I'm going to import them to the library. And I'm going to go to Desktop, and I should have a folder called Images. Where are you? Images. Alright, and I'm going to grab, I don't know why that one's in there, this to this. So I'm going to open up and grab those. And now in my library, I have these pictures. Okay, so these are just the ones I'm going to use. You should make sure that they are all sized the same size, meaning like, however many pixels by however many pixels. So I'm going to go ahead and on my first frame, I'm going to double click this layer here on the timeline. And I'm just going to call it Images. It's not necessary, it's just good to have a naming convention. So I'm going to grab photo 1. I'm going to pull it in here, and I'm going to snap it to the top left corner. Now what you're going to notice is, you can see it doesn't actually fit the composition here. So I already know what the size of this is. If I right click and go to Properties, you can see it's 620 by 400 pixels. Okay, so I want to make my thing the same size, my stage here. So I'm going to click not on the image, just anywhere out here. And I'm going to change it to 620, and it was already 400 pixels. So now if you look, you can see it's the same size as my my image. Okay, I'm going to change the stage color, and I'm just going to make it like a dark gray. Okay, so that way if it's off, you'll just see that. Okay, so that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to make one frame for each image. Okay, so I'm just going to go here and to create, so you right click, and I'm just going to go insert blank keyframe, and that's going to insert blank keyframe. And then after that, I can just, which is F7 if you have that ability, I'm going to add a couple more. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit F7, F7, F7. I'm just going to do 5 pictures, okay? But you could do for however many you want to do. So I'm just going to do 5. So I'm going to go to my next one here, and I'm going to go back to my library, and I'm going to grab photo number 2, and I'm just going to make sure it's up and to the left there. Go to the next frame. Drag this over. And let's see. Okay. And just so you know, the greater than less than symbol on your keyboard will move your slider. So I'm just using that to move my slider over here. So good. And photo number 5. Good. Okay. So now if you look, you'll see I have my 5 pictures, okay? And I'll hit Control Enter or Command Enter to preview it. And it's probably going to put it over on the right because I got a thing here, but I'll show you. This is what it looks like, right? It's enough to give you a seizure. Because what's happening is it's just straight up playing through these images. Now another thing I'm going to need is buttons, okay? So I'm going to make another layer, and I'm going to call this my buttons. And I'm going to make a couple of buttons for either side here. Okay, so I'm going to use the rectangle tool here and properties. Make sure you're not on the rectangle primitive tool. Make sure it's the regular rectangle tool. And also make sure that this isn't on object drawing. Just leave it to not that. It just makes things a little bit easier. So for the outside, I'll leave it black. The fill color, I'm just going to make kind of a mid-gray. Stroke size, I'll do 2 to make it a little bit thicker, and then I want it rounded. If you look by default, see it's a hard edge. Go ahead and let's say 7. What does that look like? Yeah, we'll go with 7. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a little square like that, and that looks acceptable. Alright, and let's see, so I'll have that, and I'm going to also, inside of this, I'm going to, now you can, however you want to make a point to show that it's in the other direction, I'm just going to use a font, and I'm going to use that symbol, the what was that, greater than symbol. I'm just going to change the color to black. All right, and 36 seems okay. Do I want to, you can look at the various, let's go with that one, that's fine, I don't care. But you can play around with that to see if you can find something that's more of a size that you want. And I'm just going to use my arrow keys to center that a little bit better. And we're going to say that looks okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on I'm going to zoom in here. So Control or Command plus. So I'm going to double click on this, and I'm also going to click on that. Okay, so I have both those things selected. And I'm going to hold Alt and click and drag. And you'll notice that it'll make a duplicate. Okay, or you could do Command C, Command V. And then I'm going to rotate this around. So I'm going to hit the Q, or you click over here on the free transform tool. I'm going to hold Shift as I rotate, which will do increments. And now you can see that I have one going one way and one going the other way. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's do this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take both of these and convert them into symbols. So I'm going to double click to make sure I get the stroke and the fill. And I'm also going to click on this letter, or the text field that I made. And I'm just going to go Modify, Convert to Symbol. And I'm just going to call this one the next underscore BTN. All right, for button. And I don't want it to be a movie clip. I want it to be a button. Okay. And we'll hit OK. Yay. Now, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to double click on this. And this time I'm just going to hit F8. And we're going to do, this will be prev underscore BTN. All right, for a previous button. All right, great. So that's looking pretty good. I got both of my buttons. Now, these aren't really quite ready yet because they will work. If you watch, if I hit Control Enter or Command Enter, get over here. When I hover over, you'll see that my cursor will turn to a hand, but they don't look like buttons. Like they're not doing anything. They look a little bit different. They're not doing anything. Like when I hover over, it doesn't change color, and when I push on, it doesn't do anything either. The other thing you're gonna notice is, see how like the fonts look a little bit different? We have to embed the font. So what I'm gonna do is, I should have done that earlier. I'm gonna double click to get inside of it. So you can see how now it says Scene 1, the next button, everything turned gray. I'm gonna select that font, and I'm gonna go ahead and make it static text. And let me see something real quick. Dynamic. Yeah, go ahead and try making it static and see if that fixes it. I'm not sure if that's going to or not. So I'll double click and go inside that one and also make that one static. And then I'll double click to get back out. Or you can click up here. Alright, and let's just test that and see if that fixes it. Let's see. Yeah. So if you look now that it's static, it will look the way that it did in the thing. Okay. Alright. So that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and fix these now. So I'm going to double click to go back inside this button. And you're going to notice is, besides changing this to static, I have an up, over, down, and hit. We don't need to worry about hit because hit will just use whatever this is. So up, this looks fine for up. I might, well, we need to do this. So on over, I want to create a keyframe. So insert, right click, insert keyframe. Or you can just hit F6. Alright, so I just need 3. And you can see each one of them is the same. But I want to have, when I'm over it, when my mouse hovers over top of it, I want it to look a little bit different. So first on my up, I'm going to select, yeah, we'll leave it like that. So on up, will look like that. And that just means like that's just what it looks like. But when I hover over it, I want this whole thing, I'm going to click on both of those and have that move up. So when you hover over it, it's going to move up like that. So when I hover, it's going to go up a little bit. I'm also going to take the fill color here, and I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. So it goes up and it gets lighter. And then on down, when I push on it, I'm going to grab both of these things again. I'm going to have those. Oops. Let me just go like this. Alright. So when I push down on it, it's actually going to go down a little bit, and I'm going to select that color, and I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Okay? So on up, it looks like this. When I hover over it, it's going to be upraised a little bit in white, and when I push down on it, it's going to be dark. I'm just going to back this up, and I'll hit Control Enter, or Command Enter, and then you can see right here, now when I hover over it, see it goes up, and then when I push on it, it goes down. Alright? So that's what that is. And I'm just going to do the same thing again, but for this one, I'm going to double click on it. So I open it up, and I'm inside of the previous button here, and I'm just going to go here and hit F6, or you can right click, insert keyframe, or F6, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to go to over, and I'll just click and drag over it and go up, and I want this color to be a lighter gray. Alright, and then on down, this whole thing, I'm just going to have it move down a little bit, and I'm going to make it a darker gray. Alright, like that. So now I have those three there. And so if I test it again, alright, you can see if I hover over either one of these, and when I push down or I push down, they both have that going, which is good. Okay. Pretty okay with that. Alright, let me see. Alright, and so another thing I want to do is, you know what? We're going to call that, I think, okay for now, for the slideshow. Okay. That's mostly has it set up. So we have all the elements now. Now we just need to make the code to make it that when we click over left and right, that'll move the time slider one frame each time. Okay. Or it'll go back the other way, and then we'll set up things from there. Okay, so in the next video, we'll actually do the coding to make this work.